Hello everybody and welcome back to Victoria, where yes, we lost like 500,000 people, but it's not the end of the world. We're in recovery, it's coming up nicely, and what we need right now is to get a bunch of high-paying jobs, ideally. That will bring people back in theory. In theory. Now we're going to run out of our investment pool very shortly here, after this week. So we're going to have to stop construction here, because I do want to continue paying down our credit. That is very important. We definitely don't want to be paying this interest forever. So we're going to continue paying down the credit at a remarkable speed here. Spain declared Austria to be their rival. Okay. Do we want right of assembly? It seems like we decided we didn't for the time being. And we are working our workplace safety office up. Our health system, I would love to take to level 5. Unfortunately, we can't currently. Is there a law that would allow us to do that? Not that I'm seeing here. And would these improve our income? No. No, they would not. So I don't think there's really any laws that we want to push towards. I think regulatory bodies is fine. Wage subsidies is okay. We're actually working up our wage subsidies right now, so I think that seems completely okay. We've got low market access here, but that is exclusively because we can't be bothered to work in the railway. They'll get there eventually, I'm sure. There's not a lot that we can do to address that situation, I don't think. So for the time being, this is fine. We're working up our investment pool again. We pull out of that at a rate of about 50,000 a week when we're constructing. So that is definitely a lot. And we're paying down our credit very quickly here right now. Yeah, this is going to go down to like 3.6. Yeah, there we go. 3.6. Looks good. So yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. That's going quite well. So that low market access is a problem. We do have some input goods shortages, and we've got this turmoil. But as our interest payments drop and our investment pool builds up, we'll be able to construct for longer and longer periods of time, right? That'll be good. That'll be very good. I think we'll wait here until our investment pool is up to about 500k before we restart that again. And that additional expense will be there forever, but no problems there. We're looking at a potential bureaucratic shortfall. I wouldn't mind expanding our government administration in Buenos Aires. Oil has been discovered in Miranda. Okay, sure. Because we're definitely going to want more bureaucracy, right? But do we have an input goods shortage of paper? No. Okay, noted. So if we start our construction right now, we can't use our investment pool income on the administration. So what's this going to do to our actual income? Oh, can we use it on the government administration now that we changed our government type? Or maybe it's just going into these. Regardless, we're going to pull out of this investment pool very quickly. We've got about 12 weeks on this government. And we're definitely not going to get there. We could run a deficit until we finish the government administration, which may not be a bad idea, actually. It'd be a 10-week deficit at 11.6k. Honestly, that feels acceptable to me. So it'd be at like 3.2 million. And we definitely finish up all of these as well. We wouldn't finish the motor industry. Oil discovered in Amazonas, sure. Yeah, I think this is fine. I want to finish this government administration and get our bureaucracy up, because we're going to go negative in our bureaucracy relatively soon, which would be bad. And we have a glass input goods shortage, which is reducing our construction ability, which is understandable. No real shockers there. Minus 12k right now. I'm just wondering, does this turn... Well, yes, the answer is it does. But the question is, when does it turn around? Workplace Safety Office is now level 3. That should further reduce our mortality. And this paper mill will help our bureaucracy in theory. Okay, minus 10.7k there. That's really not bad. Looking at our legitimacy is 76. We're on full taxation right now. Okay. So the government administration finishes now. Now we pause our construction. Cool. So the government administration will start producing additional bureaucracy. We're still potentially looking at a bureaucratic shortfall. This is going to be full soon. After this week tick, I'm guessing? Yes. So we may require another government administration, potentially. This one would probably go in, like, Santiago, would be my guess. Yeah, look at all those peasants. So we could queue up another government administration up over here and do basically the same thing. This time we can wait until our investment pool is at, like, 250k. Last time we queued it up at, like... Wasn't it somewhere around 170, I think? So that would give us another, like, 2 weeks of constructing with our construction pool. Seems reasonably fine. We definitely... Okay, we've got some market access issues up over here. There's no railway there. So building up a railway here would be important. And is it subsidized? Yes, it is. Beautiful. Do we just wait until our credit is gone at this point and then resume the... That's like 20 weeks per million. So we're looking at about a year until our credit is gone. Social Security just went up. That will help our standard of living somewhat from the lower end. So that looks good. And this coal trade route is unproductive. We'll get rid of that. Beautiful. So with that done, yeah, I'm definitely thinking about just finishing up our credit here. That said, our investment pool can still be utilized during this time while we finish up our credit, right? But the longer we wait, the longer we can draw from that investment pool. So that's another thing to think about. We're down to 5k in interest. How much is that going down per week? Have to wait for it to update here. Okay, so about 0.11. That's not bad at all. Yeah, that's really, really not bad. I think that's fine. Laissez-faire here. I mean... Minus loan interest rate and capitalists contribute to the investment pool. We're in interventionism right now. Plus 25. So this would double the capitalist investment pool contribution. You know what? This is actually really good. The aristocrats won't contribute. But I don't know that we have that many. Like, how much of our GDP is aristocrats? That's the question we need to ask here. So if we go into our professions here, aristocrats, they're 1% of our populace, but how much of the GDP are they? Like, how much money do they have? How do we see that? Well, there's actually more capitalists than there are aristocrats. Can we at least see, like, their standard of living? They're part of the upper strata, sure. Well, the standard of living between both of them is affluent. 32.1. Honestly, I think it's good. I think we laissez-faire here. Music to my ears, huh? That's a lot of money that I don't want to spend right now. Sorry. Okay. So that's cool. We should probably use our investment pool at this moment and start to work on the railway and government administration here. So we'll be able to run this for a few weeks. We're mostly interested right now. Oh, this is pulling some construction goods, not from the investment pool. Definitely. That's fine. That's completely okay. So laissez-faire has a 24% chance of passing at this moment. That's fine. That's completely okay. Our interest is down to under 5K. No, I think this is very acceptable. What are we going to be at without construction, without laissez-faire? That's the real question that I have here. And yeah, our construction is dropping down due to our glassworks. That's expected. But when we run out of investment pool here in 2 months, or rather 2 weeks, they're week ticks. When we run out of that in 2 weeks, what's that going to look like? That's the real question here. So our motor industries are 9 weeks away from finishing. That is actually a pretty big deal. And the railway as well. Okay, 14.9K is what we're looking at. We do have a decent amount of unrealized taxes, and I think that is due to the tax waste is coming from our turmoil, is it not? I believe it is. Okay. So we're at least going to finish this government administration. Yeah, we're going to finish up the government administration here, and then we'll pause it. I don't really want to dip negative in bureaucracy because that will create more tax waste. So we'll finish this government administration and then pause. So right about now is when we pause it. Beautiful. And our government administration here will hire in, which is, of course, up here. I always forget that it's up on this side. I don't know why, but I definitely do forget that. Should we be on secular administration? I don't think that really helps us right now. Okay, so we're no longer projecting a bureaucratic shortfall. Those unrealized taxes are a bit rough. There's also this market access issue, right? That's definitely a thing. How long was the construction on that railway going to be? Not very. So we can resume our construction here and like toggle back and forth. So we can get like 1 week of construction here. Actually, we're still profitable, so we can get this second week. Now we're projecting another bureaucratic shortfall. Hilarious. For the moment, I'm not too concerned about that. Okay, I want to finish up this motor industry. Then we'll pause again. There we go. We're continuing to pay down our debt here. We've only got 1.8 million left. And we're paying 4,000 in interest per week right now. That's quite a bit, no doubt about that. Hey, laissez-faire instantly passed. Okay, that's really, really nice. Now we can see what that investment pool change is looking like. 33K? That's definitely an upgrade. Oil has been discovered in Uruguay. Okay, sure. So that gives us some migration attraction for 2 years over here. We love it. We're up to 4.55 million now. Our population is growing very nicely. Let's look at our institution growth. 14 weeks and 51 weeks. Okay. Noted. For the time being, that's looking reasonably fine. How are we doing on our plastics? We're still 4 years out from that. Okay. We're still projecting a bureaucratic shortfall here. So we should queue up another government administration in Santiago. I don't love it, but it'll do. We'll resume this, and that is, of course, going to be pulling partially from our investment pool. Actually, now that that investment pool has changed, can we just construct permanently? Yes. Yes, we can. If I'm mathing this correctly, I believe that we can. So that would be fantastic. We can just permanently pay down this interest and construct simultaneously. That will be a very, very big deal for us. I think we have gotten our recovery completely. That also means that eventually we'll be able to start dropping taxes, which will be good for our standard of living. Our taxes are definitely driving things down right now. But, oh, we did flip slightly negative here. And that is because we're adding to our investment pool. We're not pulling out of the investment pool for the government administration or the power plant. I'm actually going to move the power plant down to here to try to fix that. Yeah, we're adding exclusively to the investment pool here. What are we allowed to pull out of the investment pool for if we're not allowed to pull out of any of this? This surprises me that the plantations aren't allowed to be used. Is it because we can't use agrarian? Let's see here. Laissez-faire allows us to use it for manufacturing industries, mines, forestries, rubber plantations, oil extractors, infrastructure, whaling, and fisheries. Okay, so that is correct then, that we cannot use that for the plantations. Noted. Social Security bumps up. Honestly, the plantations build really quickly, right? I don't think it's that big of a deal. So we're going to get this government administration done in 3 weeks. Let's just power through this, and we're going to be getting a lot more of the manufacturing sort of things building up soon. So let's continue to queue this up and have this go. We definitely need glassworks. Are our glassworks in this list right now? They're not currently. Okay. And yeah, see, now we're pulling out of our investment pool. We are allowed to build it for wheat farms, apparently. We're not fully pulling out of the investment pool, though. Noted. Breech loading artillery has been unlocked. Okay, cool. That's not the biggest of deals. We should think about potentially attacking, like, Brazil or Peru, Bolivia. Brazil's a lot weaker. So we could potentially think about that. Army, yeah, 498 and 164. Brazil is an interesting idea. For sure. For the time being, though, I want to get to the point where we're making money while constructing, and we can start to turn down our taxes. Financially, that's where I want to be. So we'll let the tobacco plantation finishing here should be a big help, because that will allow us to pull more out of our investment pool in theory. But the power plant finishing up will also be a big deal. Okay, so we're going to power through this as much as we can. Importing glass would probably be a really smart thing right now. Let's do it. We're scheduled for a bureaucratic shortfall, but because those are imports, I'm not too concerned about that. There's also people who are upset about not having universal suffrage. I mean, sure. At this point, we've kind of lost all control of the autocracy thing. We're heading straight down that route. Why not? Propertied women is something that can follow up that. The workforce ratio would be nice. It will end up dropping the birth rate, but I think that's acceptable at this point. We're growing at a quite reasonable... Now that our mortality is somewhat better. Glass is still expensive, steel is expensive, but we're not running an... Oh, we are now running an input goods shortage of glass. Okay, I was hoping that we wouldn't be. Okay, now we're pulling from the investment pool. And yeah, that's as expected, because now we're actually working on things that, you know, we pull from the investment pool for. Cool. So I think that we can construct quasi-permanently. We're going to run out of the investment pool eventually, so we don't want to drop our taxes at this point. I want to continue to pay off our debt. That'll be a very big deal here. And working our way through all of this will also be a very big deal. 110 weeks on all of that. Arc welding needs to exist, of course, for that. It's not very financially viable right now, either. So that's all a thing. No big deal there, though. Newly formed parties, the National Civic Union and the Social Democratic Party, which is being led by the armed forces. Okay. Interesting choice. But sure, We've got an election coming in, and the question is, will we get universal suffrage enacted before the election? If it happens on this go, we'll see. We're down to 1.21 million in credit. That's looking very good. And I'm reasonably comfortable with our economic situation now. Reasonably. I'm still interested in getting that credit paid off before we end up lowering taxes. Lowering taxes may end up being a thing we want to do. But yeah, that investment pool is not bad. 40K, huh? So we could drop our income in theory by about 9,000 once we're paid off with our credit and be okay. I mean, we're in a legitimate government 84, so we are getting loyalists per month right now. That's pretty solid. Radicals are holding firm. But once we enact universal suffrage, that should help matters, for sure. And these textile mills are going to be done soon. That will help our income as well. Okay, so the investment pool is now officially empty. Political agitation has been unlocked. Okay, sure. And our bureaucracy is definitely a bit of a concern. We have this unproductive trade route, though, so we can bring up our bureaucracy a little bit. Workplace safety is now maxed out. Beautiful. We're not improving any of these now, and universal suffrage did actually pass there. So that will increase our workforce ratio, which I think at this point is probably better than the birth rate buff. I'm guessing so. Reducing our amount of dependents and increasing our gainfully employed would be good. So propertied women is possible. It's not necessarily a thing at this point. Women's suffrage would be probably ideal, but we're definitely going to wait until after the election before we try to do anything like that. So that'll be fine for the time being. And yeah, we're sitting at a cool plus 11 right now. Our credit is going down somewhat slowly, but our construction is definitely cruising right along. 89 weeks on our construction queue, and we will have more things get automatically queued up. No doubt about that. Oil has been discovered in Zulia, up in Venezuela. No concerns there right now, and our literacy is up to 52%, so that's pretty good as well. And look at our radicalism. Wow. Big drop when we got universal suffrage. I like it. We're still running an engines input goods shortage, despite having just filled up our motor industries. No real shockers there, to be honest, and that's going to look for another expansion once we're done with all of this other stuff. It's mostly that glass input goods shortage, though, that's giving us some fits. I do think that we should look to expand our glassworks. Where was that? Here. We should look to expand that manually at this point. Glass is extremely important. In fact, we should probably give it 2 levels of expansion. There we go. Cool. So that'll be done in 21 weeks. Yeah, this is absolutely great looking. How's our GDP? Almost up to the peak of our migration. So that looks good. And that's with fewer troops. Okay, they're not troops. Fewer population as well. So the National Autonomous Party won. That's the Catholic Church and the landowners. It's going to be a little lower legitimacy, but that's reasonably fine. We're in a contested government here. Wait a second. Was there just a capitalization issue here? No. No, I'm just blind. Fantastic. We can definitely lower taxes to deal with that later. Right now is not the time to do that because we're still paying down our credit. There's a little sliver of credit left there, and we can still eke out this 1.2K weekly. So that'll be great. We can do a free government reform, but there isn't a better government reform than the one that we have. So we're not going to utilize that. Can we just dismiss this? Unfortunately, we can't. We could enact propertied women. I would really prefer... Well, that would be minus 5% birth rate, but 15% workforce ratio, which is probably worthwhile. I don't think women in the workplace is worthwhile, but I think women's suffrage probably is. Workers' protections. That would give minimum wage. Minimum wage would really help our standard of living, but one thing it doesn't help is our economy. We're going to have substantial cost increases of everything if we were to pass workers' protections. So for the time being, I'm not going to do that. 1.72, that is not bad population growth. We're gaining 80K annually just from population growth. Are we getting immigration at this point? That is something that I'm interested in seeing. Yeah, we're sending immigrants to other locations, or rather emigrants to other locations internally. Are any of these external? Not really right now, but our average standard of living is not bad at 15.7. That's definitely an improvement. We are number 33 worldwide. GDP-wise, we're 19 worldwide, and per capita, 8 worldwide. That's really good, actually. That's really, really good. We're down to triple digits on our interest. That's also excellent. They become more radical, but we get assimilation, which I think is worthwhile. North Andean migration. Where are these guys going? Okay. They're going to Austria. I don't think that's that big of a deal. We might lose a little bit of population from it, but I think their number of people is pretty small. Are we even losing anyone from that migration? We had like 1% of their populace, I think. Or 1% of our populace was that culture. No, I don't think we're losing like any measurable numbers. So that looks good. Our glassworks finishing up here will actually cut our construction costs dramatically. And that'll be great. So our glassworks number 1 finished. Let's get our number 2 glasswork. Cool. And that will start driving down the price of glass in theory. Yes. It is driving the price of glass down. That's great. There's still an input shortage of glass. Do we have market access issues here? No, we don't. So we just need to wait for this to expand, I think, is what's going on here. 63.6. Yeah, look at the market price fluctuating there. But then it just sharply drops down. That's porcelain. Let's look at glass. It's fluctuating a bit, but I think that's due to our weird construction. Okay, looks good. Oil discovered in Miranda. Cool. And we're up to 20K at this point. We're going to continue to keep our taxes until our credit is gone, but we will start cutting taxes soon. However, it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, ALS Gamer, Kentuin, James, Shadowwolf, Mlohan80, Kentogan, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Unisol, Kadra, Rogue Corvid, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.